So unbelievable SpaceX news, which includes SpaceX launching robotic satellites that can repair other older satellites. Now SpaceX is creating an internet for other planets. We'll talk about the Gigabit Factory and what this is all about. How are old satellites removed that simply don't function anymore? I mean, I'm asking myself this all the time. Not all countries do this, but SpaceX has a special system for this. And I'm leaving timestamps down below. Of course, there's so much more that I want to talk about. Also, I might be talking with a little bit of a list because I'm getting some dental work done. So now, this is absolutely amazing. SpaceX has launched a robotic satellite that can repair other satellites. SpaceX has launched North Grumman's mission robotic vehicle, a spacecraft designed to extend the lives of aging satellites already in orbit. Instead of replacing satellites that run low on fuel or need assistance, the robotic vehicle will dock them and attach propulsion modules that allow them to continue operating for years longer. And it's all about reusability, I guess. Now, the mission marks another step towards a future where satellites can be serviced in space rather than abandoned. As Earth orbit becomes more crowded, robotic maintenance missions could become as important as launching new satellites, not to mention that this will save a ton of money. Now, this is the most amazing thing ever. And it's so important. Starlink is actually planning internet for other planets. Now, SpaceX is exploring a lunar communications network using satellite orbiting the moon and laser links connecting them together. Now, laser communication uses focused beams of light instead of radio waves to send data between satellites. This could deliver faster, higher capacity connections for video, science data, and future lunar internet systems. Now, if it works, the moon could one day have its own internet and GPS-like network. Astronauts could stream video, control robots, and communicate faster, helping make future moon settlements possible. And this is the part that makes it possible. SpaceX has unveiled AI-1, the first generation of its orbital AI satellite. It is designed to bring high-power compute directly into space. Now, the satellite is built around a 150 kilowatt solar array with 150 kilowatt peak of compute payload and 120 kilowatt average compute payload, delivering around 70 kilowatt per ton. Now, its structure is massive, stretching to a 70-meter wingspan with 20-meter deployment height, making it far larger than a typical Starlink satellite. AI-1 uses a centralized compute module, large solar arrays, laser links, and liquid radiators to manage heat in orbit. It includes 110 square meter of deployable radiators, redundant pumping loops, and micro-meteoroid shielding. And where is this all being built for now? Well, listen to this. SpaceX just unveiled the Gigabit Factory in Bastrop, Texas for the AI-1 satellite. 11 million square feet on 1,000 plus acres. Its sole purpose is to build AI satellites that act as orbital data centers. Now, the scale is absurd, but 1 gigawatt of orbital compute by the end of 2027, launching over 6,000 AI-1 satellites per year. By 2030, 100 gigawatts per year. Long term, it's a terawatt scale. Something that concerns all of us with increasing satellites in orbit. How are they getting rid of the old ones that don't work anymore? Now, SpaceX removes old or failing satellites by using their onboard ion thruster to execute controlled propulsive descent into Earth's atmosphere, where the spacecraft completely burned up and disintegrate. A couple of weeks ago, Federal Communications Commission Chairwoman Jessica Rosenforcell proposed new rules that would require satellite operators in low Earth orbit to dispose of their satellites within 5 years of completing their mission. Rosenforcell is passionate about not cluttering up the Earth sky with space junk. Now, speaking at the Global Aerospace Summit earlier this week, she said, right now there are thousands of metric tons of orbital debris in the air above. Since 1957, humanity has put 10,000 satellites into the sky. More than half of those satellites are now defunct. Now, the space junk raises the risk of collision with active satellites, and it makes it harder to launch new objects higher into orbit. Not to mention that the fact that it's just kind of gross to surround our planet with orbiting garbage. This issue has also taken new urgency of late, as companies such as SpaceX, having already deployed more than 2,000 satellites for its Starlink fixed wireless access service, and most recently announced work with T-Mobile to deploy a whole new constellation of satellites for mobile phone communications. But how do satellite companies dispose of their orbiting equipment once it becomes obsolete? It's not clear whether all satellite companies have technology to safely do this, but SpaceX says it has deployed methods for controlling deorbit to low altitudes. Once a Starlink satellite has reached its end of life, according to SpaceX's webpage, SpaceX coordinates with the 18th Space Control Quadrant to initiate a high drag mode, causing the satellite's velocity to reduce sufficiently that it deorbits. That process takes roughly 4 weeks. SpaceX is the only commercial operator to have developed expertise in flying in a controlled way in this low-altitude, high-drag environment, which is incredibly difficult and requires a significant investment in specialized satellite engineering, it says. Now, this part is very interesting because SpaceX says when a satellite altitude decays, it encounters a constantly increasing atmospheric density. Initially, these molecules impact the satellite, but as the air density increases, a high-pressure shock wave forms in front of the spacecraft. As the satellite slows down and descends into the atmosphere, its orbital energy is transferred into the air, heating it to a plasma. The hot plasma sheath envelopes the satellite, causing intense heating. Starlink satellites are designed to demise as they re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, meaning they pose no risk to people or the property around. Now, the company says it has already safely deorbited over 200 satellites using this approach. Also, this just happened a few days ago. Elon Musk said that SpaceX performed a secret test on a specific portion of Starship with its recent 13th test flight last week. Starship 13th test flight took place last Friday, and in many aspects, it was one of the most overwhelming successful launches in the project's history. All of the mission's objectives were met without incident. Both the Super Heavy booster and ship managed to perform safe splashdowns in the Gulf of America and the Indian Ocean, respectively. And the deployment of Starlink satellites came and went without any complications. However, there was more to the agenda for SpaceX in the Flight 13. Musk revealed an internal test of the ship heat shield tiles, as the space exploration company wanted to push them to the limits of the previous issues. Many noticed that the Starship initial launch seemed to be more accelerated than normal, and that was not a mistake. Musk revealed that SpaceX decided to give Flight 13 an intentional aggressive acceleration rate in an effort to test how well the tiles would remain attached to the ship. Previously, SpaceX had issues with some of the heat shield tiles remaining attached early on in the Starship program. The first 6 flights presented some kind of anomaly with them. So the company's big focus with them was to figure out a way to keep them intact through the duration of the flight. Things truly improved as Flight 10 showed that ceramic tiles generally stayed attached to the ship far better due to refined attachment, as SpaceX utilized pins instead of adhesives. Now, Flight 10 through 13 truly showed some clear progress with the heat shield tiles, and this latest test seemed to be where some real progress was noticed, especially by Musk. The 13th Starship launch last Friday was the second with Starship V3, SpaceX's latest and greatest iteration of the spacecraft. Goals and ambitions are getting even grander as the project continues to progress. Musk had already hinted that SpaceX will likely try to catch Starship with Flight 14. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. So we have to talk about the story of Starlink because a lot of people still don't know, and you have to know the background. The company that changed the direction of the entire internet In 2015, Elon Musk announced SpaceX would build Starlink. Now, the goal was simple but massive, providing high-speed internet to every corner of the planet, especially places traditional infrastructure cannot reach. Traditional internet relies on fiber cables and ground towers. Now, big problem in rural areas, mountains, oceans, and developing countries. Starlink decided to solve this with thousands of satellites in low Earth orbit. By 2019, the first batch of satellites was launched. They are much closer to Earth than old satellites, which means lower latency and faster speeds. It was a key technical breakthrough. Starlink grew extremely fast. As of 2026, they have launched over 7,000 satellites and plan for many more. The impact is huge. People in remote villages, ships at sea, airplanes, disaster zones, and war areas have now reliable internet. But Starlink is not just internet. It is becoming critical infrastructure. It is used by the military, emergency services, researchers in places like the Antarctica, and even global broadband competition. And instead of waiting for governments or big telecom, SpaceX invested billions itself. The user terminals or the dishes plus monthly subscribers created a direct revenue. Besides massive technical, regulatory, and financial challenges, relentless execution of reusability of Falcon rockets made the economics work. So let's see what's coming up for the stock. And honestly, I don't think it's done falling yet. Only 5% of SpaceX stock is actually trading publicly right now. The other 95% is still locked up. And starting August, they get released in waves. Here's the lockup schedule. But what is a lockup schedule anyway? When a company IPOs, insiders cannot sell their stock right away. They are locked up for a set period. This protects the shares by preventing everyone from dumping their stock on day one. However, when the lockup period expires, supply of new stocks flood the market. And of course, many will sell the positions, which includes employees and big investors or investment firms. So expect volatility. So it doesn't happen because SpaceX is a bad investment, but because many have held the stock for a very long time. After SpaceX's Q2 earnings, which is around August 4th, 20% of insiders can sell. August 21st to October 25th, 7% unlocks roughly every 2 weeks. After Q3 earnings, which will be around November 9th, 28% of the stock can be sold. On December 9th, most insider stocks can be sold on the public market that are not owned by Elon Musk. Elon has to wait a little bit longer. June 2027, 366 days after the IPO, Elon Musk can sell his stock on the public market. Will he do it? I don't think so. What does all of this mean? This happens usually almost with every IPO. Prices fall and then slowly return. SpaceX is an amazing company that can build generational wealth, but expect extreme volatility. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry about my lisp. I'm getting dental work done. I apologize for that. Let me know which part was new to you. And also, don't forget to tune in next time for more updates. Thank you so much and goodbye.